Part of the interiorization ideal. She could come more as the eye. Now, due to his alone, create a 20s beginning now every single time. We've been watching hundreds of people file into the Capitol to pay their respects to the late senator here to the nation's capital so that they can visit their own memorial. Vehicle registration has gone up from 7.9 million to 8.5. Now, every single time Grand Canyon Rapids comes out here on the Colorado River, this is what Florence has done. Taken these healthy bulls and made them dried up. The U.S.-Mexico border fence spans as far as the eye can see. Any proposal by Trump on birthright citizenship is sure to be challenged by the courts. Just as one side of the street has those who support DACA and want to create a DREAM Act, the other side of the street is in protest. To Pinal County, where I'm standing, the heart of Arizona's agriculture. I want to turn your attention to this poll right here. Now, this is a survey that was done by the Associated Press.
Noticia del último momento, se relevan nuevos detalles sobre el niño de 9 años.
A Hawaii soldier from Schofield Barracks is now in federal custody. If you didn't have anybody on Valentine's Day, maybe she could come home with you. Captain Shane Doan, having been here for over 20 years in the desert, may not see his 21st season. Unforgiving terrain, stifling heat, and dangerous wildlife consume parts of the southern border. Volunteers with No More Deaths cross this landscape daily, leaving life-saving supplies.
This is a type of area where people are crossing. The remains of 3 people were found right in this area.
It's a treacherous voyage, which is why certain groups leave supplies along the route, hoping to make this potentially deadly trip a bit safer for undocumented immigrants trying to cross. The organization No More Deaths Arizona has put out nearly 32,000 of these water jugs in the past 6 years alone. And 80% of that has been used by migrants on these trails.
We try and leave them in spots that'll be shaded, protected from the sun, visible from the trail, but also not overly visible to protect them from destruction and vandalization.
A recent report by the organization says volunteers in just one desert corridor found more than 3,500 gallons of water destroyed over a 3-year period. This video, obtained through hidden cameras placed by No More Deaths, allegedly shows Border Patrol agents knocking over jugs and pouring out the water.
So you get a good shot. Picking up this trash somebody left on the trail.
For its part, Border Patrol says they don't tolerate this kind of behavior.
Tucson sector does not condone or encourage the destruction or tampering with any water or food. If it does happen, we want to be made aware of it, so therefore we can take corrective actions against the agents that conduct those activities.
The destruction of aid supplies is a deadly act.
But No More Deaths says they're not satisfied and will continue to watch Border Patrol practices. In the meantime, volunteers continue setting out for more water drops.
Being able to walk into the desert and put water and beans out feels like a small act, but it actually is really important. In your words, how do you feel that we can bridge that relationship with the United States and Mexico?
Well, I feel sorry. I feel sad. What is going on here in the United States.
¿Cómo podemos trabajar juntos los Estados Unidos y México?
Compartimos una misma frontera y hemos encontrado un enorme beneficio de trabajar juntos.
Reporters from our Cronkite News Bureau here in Washington are outside the Capitol, where hundreds of people have waited to pay their respects to the senator. Lillian Donahue joins us now live.
Thank you, Ted. They're saying hundreds of people are taking more than 2 hours from the very start of this line to get to the Capitol Rotunda to say their final goodbyes to the senior senator.
Cronkite News Washington Bureau reporter Lillian Donahue traveled to one of the hardest hit areas by the hurricane. Morehead City is located 2 hours northeast of Wilmington along the North Carolina coast.
More than a month after Hurricane Florence crashed into the Carolina coast, there are still a dozen shelters open and hundreds of people whose lives have been completely uprooted.
And I told my baby Lucky, I said, I think we got about 15 minutes. We're going to be sitting in the water.
Trees uprooted, homes destroyed, all the belongings are scattered all over everywhere.
I'm upset, to see it all ruined like this.
They just lose it. It's just all gone.
It's a sleepy Saturday in Morehead City, North Carolina, a far cry from just a month before when one of the strongest storms in recent years thrashed the coast. The hurricane may be long gone, but its aftermath lives on as people remain displaced in the state.
You're ready to go in if you want to go in.
Like Wade and Mary Rochford, the couple and their autistic adult twins cannot return to a mold-saturated home after it completely flooded during the storm.
Yeah, there's a lot of memories in here for just the 10 years we lived here. It's heartbreak on there because I've had a lot of good memories in here, and I've had a few that weren't so good, but you know, that's just being a family, you know.
And they're not alone.
It's not just this piece of land right here that got this damage. It's the circles that just radiate out to impact so many people.
For more than 2.5 weeks, longtime Arizona Red Cross volunteer Jean Curry has been at a local shelter where the Rochfords are staying, along with more than 30 other survivors and their pets.
Folks had a home, and now they don't. Folks had belongings, and now they don't. You have a good day, Susan.
Yes. She's helping residents transition out of the shelter and back to their lives. Like Willie, who was homeless when the storm hit. This video shows the moment he was airlifted off a van by the U.S. Coast Guard as floodwaters rose.
And he told me to give your chihuahua to him, and I will put you in that basket. And he did. Wonderful man. Picked me up like a 5-pound sack of potatoes. The good Lord sent me a miracle Monday morning of that day.
Those staying at the shelter range from whole families to the homeless. It was supposed to shut down in early October, but few resources in the area left those impacted in the community with nowhere else to go.
Communities have been decimated. A lot of the resources that you generally find in an area are just not here.
Neighborhoods like this one line the North Carolina coast. As debris is beginning to build up along the streets, so is the cost of the storm. According to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Florence has already cost North Carolina alone $383 million.
There's no deadline. I mean, we're here to help, we're here to support. So, I mean, we're here until further notice.
We'll see you sometime.
But for Curry, it's time for her to return home to Phoenix, while survivors like Willie and the Rochford family are still facing an uncertain future.
I'm going to go back to normal. I'm going to go back to my daily activities, and yet I will still think about the people that are here.
The same thing every day, just keep moving forward, keep swimming.
Despite it all, those who had to make this shelter home agree that along with its destructive winds and rain, Florence also brought along with it a rare sense of community.
I have been blessed to have been surrounded and met by a wonderful people, and without them, we would all be in a way worse situation than we are right now.
It was just a time to get together and meet your neighbors again. When do you get to do that as adults? Really?
Cell Block 6.
Yes.
In Morehead City, Lillian Donahue, Cronkite News. The Grand Canyon is the backyard of the indigenous Wallapai Nation. For over a decade, the tribe didn't allow new rafting businesses to start on the reservation. But just a few years ago, that ban was lifted, allowing a determined Native entrepreneur to pursue her passion.
There be the name of the company, Grand Canyon 9.
Growing up on the Wallapai Native Reservation, Patricia Sespooch says she loved the Colorado River and dreamed about working on the water.
This is the only thing that I've ever wanted to do in my life.
And it's taken her 2 decades to do just that. She's just opened Grand Canyon 9 Rapids, her independent whitewater rafting business specializing in overnight trips in the southwest region of the Grand Canyon. It's been a labor of love, full of challenges along the way.
Not only do you have to abide by the national park rules and regulations out here, but within your own nation within a nation, which is Indian country, you have to operate by the tribal council's requests and demands.
Those demands came shortly after receiving her rafting permit in 1998, when the Wallapai Tribal Council enacted a moratorium a year later, barring her and any new rafting business from starting, while still allowing the tribe-funded rafting business to continue their operations. But Sespooch didn't give up, selling jewelry for years, saving up money for her own business.
You know, it's been a long journey.
It really has, and I do get emotional about it because I'm here. That's the great thing.
Grand Canyon 9 Rapids is an independent endeavor, which means she gets no funding from the tribe, making family and guests crucial to the survival of the new company.
Supporting local business and getting an opportunity to learn about the land that we're on from people that have access to the innate knowledge of it. I think it's going to be a cool trip. Hopefully we get an opportunity to learn more about it.
Now, every single time Grand Canyon Rapids comes out here on the Colorado River, they spend about 1 to 2 days going over 53 miles. And in a business usually run by men, she stands out as the boss.
This is my first time experiencing a lady doing something like this.
You feel a cleansing, and that's how I feel. All my troubles and worries, they're not on that water, and that's the greatness of it all.
We reached out to the Hualapai Tribal Council to get their take on Sespuch's business. What they have told us is that they have no plans to invest in Grand Canyon 9 Rapids since they don't receive any profits from her company. Lillian Donahue, Cronkite News.